Program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we start a new week. And look outside, Ty. It is sunny, and it's going to stay sunny all week. You got to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one post we had with play ball and the weather forecast for ahead, I mean, it's about time, right? I mean, right in time for softball playoffs to start this week and baseball conferences and everything to be decided this week going into next before the baseball tournaments. But we also had the brackets drop. So, I mean, perfect timing for all this weather to come over Northeast Ohio, and hopefully it's here to stay for the coming weeks.
It's a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about today. We have the boys brackets are out. The seedings are out. We know where everyone's seated. We know where everyone's going to be playing for baseball. Softball tournaments start today, so we're going to dive a little bit deeper into those district brackets since we kind of glazed over them last week and gave you everybody where everybody was playing. But now you start to look at some of these matchups that are going to happen or are going to happen if teams win. If things go chalk. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the week as well. Carson Moore and Kaden Sutton are joining us live today from Crestview Softball at 12:15 and 12:30 respectively. So we'll be talking to the battery of Crestview Softball as they get ready for a district tournament. They are in the D3 Canfield district looking to make a run there to the championship game and further.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Crestview always kind of is being viewed, I think, as a wild card going into this game or into this tournament, I should say. But I think the biggest thing with Crestview that we were talking about a little bit off air, Anthony, is that their pitching either way, wins or losses, has been amazing this season. And when they lose games, it's not because of their pitching. It's just because hitting had a down night too. So when Crestview's on, they're really on too. And you're going to be able to hear from one of those arms in that circle right now.
It's hard to argue with when Kaden Sutton has two no-hitters on the year.
She did one, and then while she was up for Big Dog, she did another one. During her voting time. It was
the DJ Khaled. Another one.
Next one's not enough for Kaden Sutton.
Maybe she'll get a tournament one too. Who knows? Some possibilities in the sectionals when they play lower seeds. Kaden Sutton could just take one and say, "Hey, I'll get a tournament no-hitter too." So we have softball tournaments. The other thing we have in softball, Ty, along with baseball, conferences are still up in the air, and there is some regular season games happening not just on the network but in the area this week that have a lot of weight in the conference play. So just because tournaments are starting because of all the weather doesn't mean that the conferences are tied up yet. There's many conferences that don't have a winner yet. I know the Fitch has already clinched the win of the AAC. But you look at it, I don't think the NE8 still technically up for grabs. MVAC Scarlet is still very much up for grabs. So is the MVAC grades here, which is kind of surprising. I think everyone came into the season thinking Champion was going to run away with it. But here's last week of the season. They're one game up with 2 games left. So things can happen. Newton Falls knocked them off last week. And now Champion has 2 losses. Newton Falls has 3. They both have big games this week because Newton Falls has Brookfield tonight, who they lost to 1-0 earlier in the season. And Champion will play Crestview on Friday. So
Crestview is another 3-loss team in the conference, right?
there is a scenario where Champion loses to Crestview and Newton Falls takes care of Brookfield, and then all of a sudden here we go,
Oh man.
3-way tie. Um,
But that
it-
game's huge then. I mean, for both, not just Crestview, but also, like you said, for Newton Falls now all of a sudden have hopes to get a little bit of a conference championship. Or at least a piece of it.
Columbiana plays United tonight. They are up 4-0. It'll be a continuation of a game that was delayed earlier in the season. Columbiana wins that. They got the EOAC. They're just trying to hold on. United has that one loss, and it was to Columbiana earlier in the first game of the season. Now, Columbiana trying to complete that season sweep, and if they do, there will be nothing stopping them from taking that EOAC.
If you're in United's locker room, what are you saying about this game going into it, knowing that you're down 4-0? What are you saying? What's the pep talk?
I think as hard as it is, you have to kind of treat it as it's the start of the game, because you can't come in thinking, "Oh, we're down 4-0, so we have to come out tight." I mean, it's early in the game. I think it's the second inning. Columbiana scored 4 in the first, so you got to just come in it as a new game. You can't win it with one pitch. You can't win it with one swing of the bat. Well, you can if you load the bases, but you can't. You got to just take it one pitch, one time, one swing, one at bat at a time, and be able to just focus on the fact that try to mentally focus on the fact that it's a 0-0 game, even though it's a 4-0 game.
Yeah, and I mean that's a huge one though, and if United's able to find a way to get back into this one, they can make things very interesting in the EOAC. But right now, Columbiana, they just have to basically not allow United to score more than 3 runs in the rest of this ball game, and they clinch the EOAC.
And then the EBC is still up for grabs. West Branch plays at Marlington on Friday night, and those two teams are vying for the EBC. So West Branch,
that's a very good softball conference too.
West Branch 1 loss to Marlington. It was in 10 innings, 4-3. So if you think Friday night might be a thriller in Marlington, you'd be right.
It'll be interesting too to see which one of those teams comes out on top, and it just works out that, I mean, hey, these softball teams got creative and they found a way to kind of curb the rain this week, and it worked out perfectly that this week the weather is working out, because for these teams that have buys in a lot of their tournaments, they're like, hey, let's wrap up this conference then. And I mean that's exactly what they're doing.
And that's the thing. I mean, these teams, I mean, tournaments aren't every day, so you got a game on Wednesday, and then you'll play again on Saturday. So the rest of the week kind of wide open for these teams. They can go in and play some makeup games on the Thursdays and the Fridays. You see some regular season games scattered along the tournament games this week for softball. You'll probably see the same thing for baseball next week.
And it's gonna be good to see these conferences get wrapped up too. And I mean, it just works out for us here on the network, and it works out for you guys too, because as long as this weather holds through, you're going to have a lot of baseball and softball to see.
All right, so while we're talking about regular season versus tournament, I guess it's a good time to reiterate that tournament games will be $9.99 like they are for baseball, like they are for basketball, football. The one payment will get you access to all the games that are tournament games in the network that night. If it's a regular season game, though, it's still free. So only tournament games are going to be the ones that you have to pay for. So make sure that when you're going through, you understand, tournament games are pay-per-view. $9.99 once again gets you access to every tournament game on the network that night. And as we get later in the tournament, it doesn't matter if it's baseball or softball. So if you buy the $9.99 for baseball, you'll get the softball ones too. That would be when softball is in the district championship semifinal round, and baseball will get things kicking off. We'll have multiple tournament games from both sides of the diamond on the same night.
Yeah, and it'll be a fun night, as it usually is too once tournament starts. And again, I mean, it's something we got to do to curb the cost of that's put forth by OHSAA2 to cover these games too. And we appreciate the coverage that we are able to get throughout the entire regular season, that our sponsors are able to help us with, that bring these games to you free all season. And it's just the same model as we've been doing with tournament games, but there's no doubt, I don't think you could get a better deal too. $9.99 gets you all those tournament games too for the night.
Before we go too far, Ty, I want to send well wishes and good vibes to Haley Croyle from Hubbard. We learned that she is going to be out for the remainder of the high school season with an injury, and man, we feel for you. We feel for her so much. One of the best pitchers in the area. I would say top 3, and I've said that all season, so I'm not just saying that because she's hurt. D1 athlete, and it sucks that right before the tournament, her season has to end the way it did. I know it's got to be mentally tough on her and emotionally tough on her. So we just want to send good vibes, well wishes, prayers, and all the best get well soon vibes that we can to Haley Croyle and their teammates. It's a good Hubbard team regardless. They're gonna try to rally around there and win a district for her. They got so close last year to the district championship game. Still have a couple of D1 players in that lineup. Still have a couple of young, talented players in that lineup as well. And we'll see what Hubbard can do. But we're definitely thinking about Haley Croyle today and want to send our well wishes to her.
Yeah, you never want to see players go down, especially towards the end of the season, so close to tournament time. But yeah, absolutely. Well wishes to Haley Croyle, and hopefully we see you back stronger than ever.
And we know she's going to do great things in college in Akron. Doesn't matter. It's just what's the temporary setback for a major comeback. And we know that you're going to go on and do wonderful things in the MAC and in Akron next season.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the lowest ERAs in the entire state, I think, too, right. And definitely one of the lowest in the area. I think it was actually tipping a bit lower than Sydney Watts, too, and we all know the kind of season she's having. So, Haley Croyle, like you called her, you said, I mean, senior-wise, because she's refined. She's kind of like what Sydney Watts is, but refined.
She's got most of what Sydney Watts has as far as, I mean, I would say comparable velocity. Sydney Watts probably brings a little bit more, maybe a touch. I think Haley probably pitches in the, just a guessing, probably like the 62 to 63 mile per hour range. Maybe she can top out at 65. We know Sydney Watts can top out at 68, but they both have off speeds that are really good. And then Croyle's is a little bit more command on those pitches. So a little bit more command on the velocity, a little bit more command on the off speed. So just a refined pitcher that has a lot of movement, can go inside out on righties and lefties. So a very good pitcher, obviously, because she's going D1. You know that they don't pick scrubs to go play in Akron. So it's going to be fun to watch her in her college career. And once again, we just heartbreaks that her career had to go to an end. But we congratulate her on a fantastic high school career with Hubbard, and we wish her the best of luck.
Yeah, and I mean we'll be seeing that extra zip on her.
I like it.
Coming up here next season, and wish her the best. Obviously, like you said, Anthony, get well soon.
We got to talk to her earlier this season at Player Profile. You can find it on ysnlive.com. But just a very well-spoken young lady too. I mean, we're talking about her softball talent, and obviously rightfully so. But what a great head on her shoulders too. I mean, great leader to that team, and I'm sure in the dugout her energy is still going to be felt.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, hey, like you said, it could be a rallying point for that team.
While we're talking about leaders and senior leaders, let's bring in Carson Moore from Crestview Softball to talk with us about her senior season and what it's been like. And Carson, here is Crestview again, and they're in the conversation yet again. No shocker there. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Like I've liked to ask most of the players that we come on, I'd like to talk about the season experience from their perspective, because it's certainly been an interesting one with the weather, but no doubt you guys have been in the thick of it with the conference as well as just getting big wins too. It's been competitive all season. What's it been like experience-wise from your perspective?
I couldn't have asked for a better senior year, honestly. I know the weather's been hard. I remember my freshman year, we barely had any games get canceled at all. I think that's why we ended up getting as many wins as we did, just because there were no cancellations. This year, the league's difficult. I mean, we added Garfield, and they're a really good team. We've been hanging with everybody. I know we split with a couple people. We split with Garfield. We split with Newton Falls. It's been great just being competitive with everybody and just like staying in games. We're not losing by a lot, but we're also not winning by a lot. So it's kind of, we have room for improvement, but we're hanging in with every team we play. So,
I mean, you talk about this conference while we're at it. You get the chance to see all these hitters and try to read what they're doing and create a game plan to kind of help your pitchers and try to put them in the best spots to win. What's it been like, going through all these lineups and trying to be a leader to this pitching staff? Obviously, Kaden Sutton's a big moment of that, but not the only pitcher in the circle that's been shining this year. What's it been like running this pitching staff and trying to game plan against these great hitters that the league brings to the table?
I work with our assistant coach, Coach Miller, in regards to calling pitches, but we both just see, first of all, when I warm up the starting pitcher, we see what's working that day. If something's not working, we don't call it as much. The pitches that are working, we just work inside, outside, hitting her spots. Some days, so I know Kaden is more of a movement pitcher, so we really just focus on the pitches that are moving and trying to hit certain spots rather than blowing it past them, obviously. Brooke Ricker's our number 2. She's not as confident, but she gets there. And I don't know, I would say I just try to keep them relaxed. I try to make sure that they're confident in the circle, because if they're not confident, nobody else can be. So, and I know there's plenty of good hitters, especially, like I said, in our league. So when we have those really good hitters, especially like the meat of the lineup where you have those 3-4 batters, there's also a really good amount of leadoff hitters who are slappers, and they'll get it out of the infield. So we just really try to work the count, try to get them off their toes, work outside, work inside, see what works against the batter. Especially the second time through the lineup, we really know where they're going to go with it based off their swing. So I just try to keep them relaxed, remind them little things, and make sure that everybody knows where to go with it.
I mean, you're at the tops of your team in multiple categories, and like top 3 in average or tops in hits. You have, I think, the most extra base hits too on the team with 9 doubles leading the team. Let's talk about that. With the extra base hits that you've been able to garner this season, do you take it as an added responsibility trying to get runs for these pitchers? Because the pitching performances, as we've said, have been amazing all season long. Do you take it as an added responsibility, being one of the seniors, to produce runs for your pitchers when it's your time up to bat?
Absolutely. I don't know if it's like a responsibility, just more trying to, they always make fun of me on the team because I'm always telling everybody to do a job, because I think it's really important to know when you're up to bat, you have a certain responsibility. Like the leadoff batter, they need to get on. They need to see pitches. They need to get on. I know if there's runners on, I need to either move the runners or score the runners. So I think that adding those extra hits, if there's nobody on or anything like that, it's more just I'm doing a job getting on base, so that way I can rely on my teammates to move me.
Carson, you've been a leader on this team for a while. It's not something new to you, but how have you grown as a leader this year compared to the last 3 years being behind the plate?
I think the fact that I'm going so far away after high school has really given me a different view on how I'm leading the team and how I'm talking to certain people, just because I know that this is it for high school ball for me. I know that I'm not going to be able to talk to all of these people as much when I leave. So in regards to being a leader, I'm just trying to leave everybody with everything that I have. I'm trying to leave everybody with positive attitude. All that I have on the field, I'm giving it all my all, and just being the best leader that I can be, being a captain. That way if they have any questions, anything, they can always come to me and just talk to me about anything.
What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned from freshman year to senior year and all the experiences that you've had, including a COVID year that didn't even happen?
Definitely. I've definitely improved in my mindset. I would say freshman year, I would immediately get down, like if I did anything wrong, just because I really wanted to prove myself, and I'm still working on proving myself. And I really just, anything that I did wrong, any mistake I made, I really dwelled on it. And I would say from freshman year to now, I take it more of another chance to do something good. So if I do have a bad at bat, the next at bat, I just completely wipe it out of my head. And I'm like, well, you still have the whole rest of the game left, so you have to do something good here. You know what I mean?
Let's get to Coach Eskra, and to stay on that point on ways that you've grown throughout your softball career. What do you think are some of the ways that he's helped you grow, and he's helped you grow not just as a softball person, but as a player too?
I would say the same thing, like mindset. He's always had a lot of confidence in me since freshman year, and I think that really helps to have a coach that's confident in you, because if you have others who are telling you can do it, and you have others who are telling you that you have the capability of doing something, but maybe you don't believe it yourself at that point in time, it helps a lot when you have somebody who can remind you of those things.
I want you to break it, because I did see it on Twitter too, the picture of you and Kaden going into the next level. Talk to me about what it means to you to have someone from the school and someone you're so close to, pitcher catcher combo, going to the next level with you, and break the next level where you're going to be going for everyone who hasn't heard yet.
Yeah. So Kaden and I are both going to Ave Maria University in Florida. I could not be more excited for the opportunity and to share the opportunity with Kaden, just because we do absolutely everything together. I couldn't imagine it any other way. Even when we were going through like the recruiting process and we would talk to college coaches, we always did it together. So like they knew we were a package deal. And it's really important to me that I went with her, just because I would never be the teammate I am today without her.
How much of an advantage does it give you, do you think, this team, and especially talking about you and Kaden when you guys are a battery, all the off the field time that you spend together and the connection that you have, obviously, as sisters? What does it mean to you to be able to just read her right off the bat, like know exactly what she's going through, know exactly what she's feeling, without having to talk to her and without having to really do much? I mean, that's got to be an advantage as a pitcher catcher relationship.
I mean, I think it's an advantage. I think some people might not like when we use the advantage against them. Kaden's very easy to read to me. So if she is having like a bad inning or something, there are times where I'll go out and talk to her, but there's other times where I kind of just let her go until we get out of it, and then I talk to her in the dugout or something like that. But like Kaden will kind of freak out occasionally if she like makes a mistake or something, and I'll go up to talk to her and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then I'll have to be like, you do know what you're doing. So I think we kind of work together when we calm each other down. Mine's more like at bats, she'll talk to me and she'll be like, tell me what I did wrong, because we go to lessons and everything together so we can tell each other what we need to work on our next at bat or what we did wrong that at bat, and kind of just living with each other every day and seeing, the inside and outs of how we work. It's so easy to calm each other down on the field. So that helps so much when you get in your head, or like if you do have a bad at bat, or if she throws a bad pitch or gives up a really good hit, it's really easy to calm each other down and just get each other back into the game.
Let's talk about this fact that, I mean, when you have one no-hitter in a season, it's something special. When you throw two, it becomes a case where you wonder, do they have something figured out? And I mean, that's kind of what I want to ask in this sense too. When you're going through a Kaden Sutton no-hitter too, and you're teaming up with that, what's kind of the keys to getting her through that? And what's been the keys in those two no-hitters and getting that kind of performance out of it twice?
To be completely honest, I didn't know the second one was a no-hitter until after the game. We go into every game the exact same. Try to throw every pitch the best that you can. If they get a hit, they get a hit. We rely on our defense so much just because she knows that she can't do everything. She's not going to do everything. And so when she does have those no-hitters, it's really special because she's just trying to make them hit the ball. She's just trying to make it more difficult for them to hit the ball. She's not trying to blow it past them or strike everybody out. So us working together and keeping the batters that off balance is a really big accomplishment to myself, and it's a really big accomplishment to her as well.
This program has been successful for a while, but this year just feels a little bit different. It's a little bit like the next step. What has been so unique about this program, and what has you guys clicking so well this year?
I would say we have a really good balance of, young and older girls. And so like it's Kaden and I as seniors, we have McKenna Schultz, Alexis Smith, Grace Fornash, and us seniors, and then mixed with Brenna Figley and Chloe Stoops and Brooke Ruicker and Katie Smith, and we were all working together, but we all don't talk in school constantly. So it's like when we're on the field, we always have that chance to get to know each other more. And I think from the beginning of the season, we all just clicked instantly because we weren't, best friends before. We had to learn more about each other. So I think working together to know each other helps us on the field because we're always constantly learning new things.
Would you say you guys have a chip on your shoulder, or do you say there's an effort to try to stand out in a conference that features teams such as Champion and these big teams that have been there, done that with the state championship?
Yes, absolutely. In my entire season, we actually haven't beat Champion yet. So when we went into that game at the beginning of the season, I know that we really, really wanted to go get them. And we actually ended up out-hitting them. We just made a few mistakes in the field, which caused us the game. But I know that we played them again. And we're actually played them again after our first tournament game. But I know that we still really want to go out and get them. And like I said, we split with a couple other teams in the conference, but I know every game that we play them, we really, really wanted to win the league this year.
And you're looking at the standings, there's still a chance to win that league. And you're one game back at Champion. You have a game with them. They have another game as well. And Newton Falls is right there. What would it mean to this program to win an MVAC Great Tier Championship?
I think it would mean everything to me and the girls in the team. We all really wanted to go out with a bang this year. I know a lot of the younger girls look up to us seniors and they know we're leaving. So I know they really wanted a nice last season for us. And I really wanted to leave them with a good season because I'm trying my best to do that. So I think it would mean a lot to the program.
You talk about being in that mentorship role. What would you say, or what would you hope that these underclassmen would say if we were to interview him next year? What would you hope they would say about Carson Moore when we ask him about you?
I hope all good things. I would hope that they say that I left them with knowledge of the game. That's what I'm constantly trying to do, is just show them new things, show them that the being teammates is the best part about the game, in leadership and showing that you care about one another while you're playing, and the competitiveness of the game. It all just goes together, but the most important part is that you guys work together, and I hope that they learn that from me.
All right, Carson, it's time for a rapid fire part of this interview where we get to know you a little bit off the field. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. What is your favorite season of the year as far as winter, fall, spring, summer?
Oh, summer, easily.
What's your favorite animal?
Cat. I love my cat, so cat.
Okay, so if you could have any animal as a pet, would it just still be your cat?
It would still be my cat. I'm convinced he's living forever, so.
We'll stay with the pet, because if your cat could talk and say one thing about you, what do you think your cat would say about you?
I'm his favorite.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
All right. What about best restaurant to go to after a game?
Anywhere I can get a steak.
What is one word you always have trouble pronouncing? I think everyone's got one.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a really good one. It's usually Kaden, the one that struggles pronouncing things.
Then I'm going to pin that question, and I'll ask Kaden because she's coming up after you. Who is your hero?
My dad.
What's your favorite superhero?
Superman.
Okay. All right. What do you want to do when you grow up? I know that's kind of a child question, but what are you going to do? What are you going to major in college?
I'm majoring in exercise physiology, but I want to be a physical therapist, and I want to coach.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure dessert?
Key lime pie.
I'm going to give you 4 words to describe yourself. I gave someone else 5 and they couldn't do 5, so I'll give you 4.
Okay. I would say definitely compassionate, competitive, introverted. Does introvert work?
Yeah, that works. That's a word.
Because I'm like in softball, I'm very extrovert, but I'm very introvert otherwise.
What is one? Oh, okay. That was 3. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
No, it's okay. I don't even know if I can think of another one, so you can go on.
All right. What is one thing that you spend a lot of money on that you know you probably shouldn't?
Clothes.
What was your last impulse buy?
Probably a shirt. I think it was a shirt.
If you could afford any car, what would you want to drive?
Any type of Jeep. I love Jeeps.
Any Jeep. Books or movies?
Books.
What was the last book you read?
I think it was called The Twin by Natasha Preston.
This is good. If you were going to go viral online, what do you think your viral video would be?
Probably doing something really stupid in softball. Probably just completely messing up, throwing a ball at a batter's head or something.
Who is your favorite Disney character?
Does the princess count?
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Cinderella when I was younger.
And then last but not least, name one teammate that can cheer you up no matter what the situation is.
Kaden. Or Brenna Figley. Brenna Figley is a freshman, and I swear she could put a smile on anybody's face.
Man, then you get 1 year of that, and that's going to be such a blessing for you. Carson, it was such a blessing to have you on today. Thank you so much for the time. We love hearing from you. We wish you the best of luck in your future and in the tournament run that you're about to make, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, Carson Moore, a senior catcher from Crestview. We're going to go from her right to another senior in the battery zone as Kaden Sutton joins us from Crestview, and we'll flip the lower thirds. And Kaden, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, Kaden, let's first and foremost talk about this experience this season. I mean, dodging rain, but throwing a couple no-hitters along the way. Let's just talk about that first and foremost, about the season experience from your perspective.
It's been a really good experience. I mean, all the rain delays, I don't think I've experienced this many rain delays in a high school season compared from my freshman and junior year. But overall, I've been having a lot of fun with the girls and with the no-hitters. I didn't even expect me to throw any no-hitters this year, but it's been a pleasant surprise this year.
To stay on that point, with all the stops and starts of the season, how has it been like mentally trying to stay focused and try to stay confident and keep momentum going when you're winning, but then also try to regain momentum if you come after a loss and then you have to wait a while to play the next game?
Yeah, especially with all the long breaks, I always contact like my pitching and hitting coach and like, hey, can I get in? Like, I always want to keep my work in. I always want to keep my arm going because I hate taking breaks. I never do good when I take breaks. So I always try to, along with that, I always try to get the girls in, hey, like, if you can go outside here, go outside there. Even if we don't have practice, just try to stay mentally and physically in the game.
What was kind of your mentality going into your senior season? What did you want to demonstrate to these underclassmen, and what was some of the goals, I guess, going into the senior season?
Some of the goals was to definitely win the league, and I know I mentioned a couple of times that I wanted to go back to districts. I haven't been to districts since my freshman year, and I love the experience so much. I wanted all of the underclassmen who haven't got to experience that yet with me. So
I want to talk about your freshman season because you lit the world on fire. You came in as one of the best freshmen in the area that year. I mean, the numbers spoke for themselves. But talk about how you've grown from freshman year to now, and what kind of growth you made, and how much better of a person and a player you are from then to now.
I can say that my confidence level is up, especially with pitching. Sometimes I get a little bit in my head with pitching, but my pitching coach now has definitely like sat me down. She's like, you know what you can do. Like if you're struggling, like you just have to keep mentally up, because I would probably say my freshman year, I was scared, I would probably say, because like I'm a little freshman, like I don't want to like be the one that loses the games or this and that, but I can definitely say that my confidence level has gone 10 times up.
What would you say is one of the biggest things that Crestview softball has taught you?
Probably just to love the game a little bit more. I love the girls that I play with now. They are some of my best friends, and I hope to keep in touch with them once I go to college, because I love the girls so much. They're basically like my sisters now.
Tell us the love story with softball, where it started, and what makes it such an easy sport to fall in love with.
Oh, well, I started when I was in T-ball. My mom and my aunt signed me and my cousin up, and then I loved it. Like I wanted to be in first base, because then like that's where all the action was. I wanted to be where all the action was because I loved it so much. And then I had my cousin in the outfield picking flowers, and I think that's just when I knew is that this was the sport that I wanted to do. And then after then, I went to my stepdad. I was like, I want to play travel ball. I want to do this all year round. And then ever then, it's just been history.
Talk to me about this relationship with Carson and the excitement level of being able to continue the play at the next level.
Oh, Carson is my ride or die. I don't think I could live without her. We do everything together. We told our parents that we wanted to share a room. We originally didn't share a room, but we chose to share a room. We do everything together. It's just having her experience this way. I couldn't have it any other way.
I know this is going to be hard because there's probably a lot of things that you like about having her on the team. But what is the best thing about having Carson on the team and having her be your battery mate?
She knows how to calm me down. She knows what to say to me, if it's good or bad. She just knows how to control me, basically. And without her, I don't think I could be the player that I am today.
Staying on track with kind of that topic, what is some of the best advice that a coach, teacher has given you that kind of has stuck with you?
My pitching coach for softball, she always says the hardest grind is not grinding. So like, because you always want to stay in shape and all this and that, but sometimes you just have to take a break. And that is one of the hardest things, because you're like, oh, what happens if I lose this or lose that? And you're not. You just have to accept it, because your body eventually does need a break.
To stay on that topic, when your body and mind does need a break from softball, what kind of things do you like to do to relax yourself, the hobbies, things to do off the field to take yourself away from the game when you have to?
I usually hang out with my friends, and then I have a part-time job at a frozen yogurt place, so I'll work there on the weekends just to make a little extra money, and then it's just basically hanging with my friends and my family other than that.
Talking about when you're getting away from the game, let's talk about when the game gets taken away from you. You got to experience that COVID year. Talk to me about that experience a little bit too. What was that like for you to try to stay in softball shape and kind of fulfill that softball itch going into a year that wasn't in the high school year? Obviously, you had travel ball, but
Yeah.
that's not the same as representing your high school.
No, when we heard the news, we were actually supposed to have practice that night, and then we were at the field when we heard the news, and like I feel like just all of our hearts just dropped. We were like, well, what do we do now? That was like the big question, and we thought it was just going to be 2 weeks, and then it turned into the whole entire season, and it was just heartbreaking in a way because coming off from my freshman season, from having such a successful season, I was so eager to play my sophomore year, and then just it getting taken away with me. It was hard, but everyone worked through it, and then like you said, I ended up having a travel ball season, so I still got to play, but it was hard not having a high school season.
Greg Eskra is a character, and we know him so well from the softball field, and we see him, during the games. Tell us one thing about Greg Eskra that maybe people don't see when they go to games that they should know about your coach.
He truly cares about the girls. He really is always looking out for us. He talks to us before and after the games. Especially since I'm usually pitching, he always asks how I'm feeling and this and that. And he has confidence in every single one of the girls, 1 through 9. And then he's just a really good guy.
Double down with that, and let's go into the Crestview community too. How influential has the Crestview community been on your softball career and your experience there?
Well, the Crestview community in general for all sports is really well. I mean, we just had senior night the other night, and it was packed. Like so many people came, and it's just really good to know that like people like to watch you, and it makes you happy.
Senior nights are a time that you get to reflect, and I'm sure it was very emotional to go through senior night. How did you go through the emotions that you had to go through and then get ready for a game and kind of try to put that away and go into softball mode?
Yeah, I definitely cried a couple times on senior night just because everyone means so much to me. But I just remember like Carson, she was just like, all right, it's game time. As soon as you step on that field, you have to just change your whole demeanor, and then it's time to go. It's go time.
What's your outlook on moving down south for the college experience and for your next softball adventure?
I'm excited, but I'm a little nervous just because I'm so far away from home. But I know I have Carson by my side, which is basically my home. So I'm a little nervous, but I can't wait to go down there with all the nice weather and just enjoy it.
Carson talked about how going so far away from Crestview next year has made her appreciate this year more and try to lead even as a better person and leave an even better legacy than she thought that she would last year. Do you have that same perspective that you kind of feel like since you're going so far away, there's even more of an imperative to be a good leader this year and leave a real legacy on this program because you're not going to be able to come back and come to games and give people advice next year. You're going to be in Florida, not worrying about 30-degree weather in April.
Yeah, 100%. I've definitely learned to appreciate the little things a lot more than I have just because I am moving so far away. So I'm not going to be able to experience all of these things again. I'm not going to see the girls as often. So I just really want to leave them with that. Just play your heart out because you never know where you're going to go next or anything else. So just appreciate every single thing that you get to go through.
You talk about your freshman year too, and I mean it was obviously a successful year. Who were some of the role models that you had on that team that served into helping you become who you were?
So all 4 seniors, Haley Eskra, Olivia Strank, Bailey Rotera, and then Skylar Madden, they were all tremendous role models. They were great. But I would probably say Skylar Madden really took me under her wing. And then we became best friends. She just stuck with me the full season. I actually still talk to her today. We're still friends. She actually came out to senior night to see everyone play, but probably Skylar Madden. She was a great role model to me.
Now that you're a senior, we'll flip the script on that question and ask you, who's one underclassman that you think you've really helped and you've really taken under your wing and try to give as much advice to as possible?
I have 3 underclassmen I probably really took under my wing: Katie Lissy, Brenna Figley, and Brooke Brubaker. Brooke Brubaker is probably the closest to me. I love her. Especially I think her being a pitcher as well really just made us bond, because I feel like we can just read each other's minds in a way.
I asked a similar question to Carson. I want to ask it to you too. Do you feel like there has been a chip on your shoulder throughout your career playing in the same conference as so many other great softball teams, namely Champion being one of them?
Oh yeah, 100%. We want to prove to everyone that we are just as good as them. We work hard day and night. We really want to try to win the league this year. We lost to Champion, unfortunately, but I think when we play them, I think we're going to have a really good shot at them.
I mean, you look at the standings, you're alive in this conference. What would it mean to you to win this conference this year and go out to as a senior and go out and know that you won the conference?
Oh, it would feel amazing. I mean, we haven't won the conference at all. Yes, we went to districts and stuff, but we never got to win the MVAC. So doing that would be a huge impact.
We talked about some of the best advice that you've received. What is some of the best advice? We talk about the incoming freshmen and we talk about the underclassmen. If there's any advice that you're going to leave any of those underclassmen, what would that advice be about Crestview softball?
I would probably tell them that it is, at the end of the day, it is just a game, and to not always dwell on it, because I know I take things a little bit too personal when it comes to the game just because I have so much love for it. But at the end of the day, it is just a game, and it's just something you should be doing for fun and not something you should always be so hard on yourself for.
All right. When you reflect on your season and your career at Crestview, not just the softball team, but the school system, what are some of your favorite things about representing the school system and being a part of the Crestview Rebels school system and just being able to tell yourself that you were a Rebel?
I really like the community. I am so glad that I went to Crestview just because of the people. The teachers are fantastic. I mean, the people there, I have friends that I'll probably have for a lifetime there. It's just the community is so great. Everyone's supporting one another, and you really don't see that a whole lot. So it's just really good to know that they have your back.
All right, it's time for your rapid fire questions and to get to know you a little bit better off the field. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I think so.
All right, Carson set you up for this one. So
Okay.
if you don't like it, you have to blame her. What is one word that you really struggle with pronouncing?
There's a lot of words that I struggle to pronounce with. I think this is funny. For the longest time, I couldn't say ravioli. I said it ralioli, and I couldn't say Ethiopian. I don't know if I even said that right. But yeah, probably the ravioli one is probably the big kicker because I couldn't say it. I probably learned how to say it like last year.
I'm kind of interested in how Ethiopian comes up in conversations.
My parents, because they know I can't pronounce things. So they're just like, pronounce this, pronounce that.
Yeah, you have a pet. Carson talked about your cat. If your cat could talk, what would it say about you?
Me and the cat do not get along. I am not a cat person at all. So it would probably like say something really mean to me because we do not get along.
So this answer will probably be different than your sisters.
Yeah.
What was your favorite animal?
Oh, probably I really like zebras. I really like zebras.
If you could vacation anywhere in the world, where would you want to vacation?
I've always wanted to go to Greece.
Okay, so flip that then. What's the best vacation you've been on?
Me and my family went to the Dominican Republic.
What is your hidden talent?
I don't even know if I have a hidden talent. I can do this thing where I can like wiggle my nose. It's like
The Bewitched?
yeah.
Awesome. What is your favorite board game?
Ooh, can it be a card game?
Yeah, that works.
I really like Uno.
What was your last Google search?
Google search.
it doesn't have to be accurate. It just like the last one. You remember.
Probably having to search something for like physics or something because physics is really kicking my butt right now.
But what is your favorite subject in school?
Math. Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm guessing it's not going to be physics.
No, it's not physics at all.
What teammate never fails to make you laugh?
Probably Brenna.
What's your biggest childhood fear? What was the one thing you were scared of as a kid?
Oh, I'm so scared of this. Okay, elevators. I hate elevators.
If you could be fluent in another language, what would you want to be fluent in?
Probably Spanish.
What do you enjoy performing, or do you enjoy performing in front of an audience?
I love to dance, if that counts.
Okay.
I love to be the star of the show.
If you were going to have a viral video, what do you think you would go viral for?
Probably something either softball related or probably something stupid, honestly. I don't even know what I would do. Probably something that Carson pulled her phone out and filmed me doing something.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
What is your favorite guilty pleasure dessert?
I absolutely love chocolate. Anything chocolate, I love it so much.
What was the last show that you binge watched on Netflix?
Netflix?
Or any other streaming device?
Well, I was gonna say because Friends, they got rid of Netflix, Friends on Netflix, so I'm been watching Friends on HBO Max.
Yeah, any streaming service, I think that crosses the board. I'll accept it. Night in or a night out?
Night out, 100%.
And then last but not least, if you could afford any car, what car would you want to buy?
A Jeep. We have a Jeep right now, but I love it so much.
That was one answer. You and Carson both had the same, so we might have a family of Jeeps in that household. Kaden, before we let you go, we want to give you the chance to thank your support system, the people that are always there for you, the people that you know that you wouldn't be where you are without.
I definitely want to thank my parents. They have been there since day one through all the recruiting process and then all the traveling to everywhere. They've just been there, and I couldn't have done it without them. And then obviously Carson, I love her so much. I couldn't do anything without her. And then my pitching coach, Erin Gabriel, she's not just a great coach, but a great person to talk to about anything. She's helped me through so much. And then just all of my coaches that I've had throughout the years, because they've obviously helped me be the player that I am today. And then just all the girls that I've played with making all the memories with me. It's great to have.
All right, Kaden, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We wish you the best of luck in the future and all your games that you still have to play. Hopefully we can see you make a deep run in the tournament. We believe you can.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, thank you.
Kaden Sutton from Crestview Softball taking the time to join us today on Running Point. We thank her and Carson both for being able to join us, Ty, and those were two really good interviews from two really good leaders in the Crestview community.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, what we saw too is, that's just a great relationship too, pitcher-catcher combo too. And that's exactly why they've been as dominant as they have been in almost every game that they've played. It's not because of the pitching too. That's a deadly tandem, and it's going to continue too down in Florida. And we wish them the best of luck, and that's going to be exciting to see what they can do down there. Ave Maria.
We are going to take our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll be talking about baseball tournaments and how these teams kind of got seeded and where their road to a state championship lies on Ysn's Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online,
That'll be
and on the 21 News social media platforms. 21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through. in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
But now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Ty, we got a lot of tournaments to talk about, both baseball and softball. Let's dive into the baseball realm, because brackets are out, seeds are out in divisions 1 through 4. I have the seeds up here. I'll read off the seeds, and then I'll let you go through the bracket and let everyone know where each of our teams are, and kind of just a little glimpse into what their road might look like. We'll go deep into the tournament brackets next week when it gets closer. But let's go into Division 1, where we only have 2 YSN schools in the Division 1 bracket. Austintown Fitch got the 4 seed, and they are 14-3 on the year. They are right below Dover, Massillon Jackson, and Walsh Jesuit, who got the 3, 2, and 1 seeds respectively. And then Boardman's down at the 16 seed. They are 9-9 on the season as far as when their records had to be turned in for districts. I think records were turned in Wednesday, so if those teams got a game in on Thursday, the records would be slightly different than they are now. We'll go over the whole seeding. Walsh Jesuit is 1, Massillon Jackson 2, Dover 3, Fitch 4, Green 5. Uniontown Lake is 6, Twinsburg 7, Riverside 8, Massillon, Washington 9, Roosevelt 10, Hoover is 11, Mayfield 12, Glen Oak is 13, Stowe is 14, Aurora 15, Boardman 16, Kinston 17. You have Ellett at 18, Mentor at 19, Canton McKinley at 20. You have Hudson at 21, Solon at 22, Perry, Massillon Perry, by the way, not Perry, but Massillon Perry at 23. Then you have Lakeside North at 20, Eastlake North, on 24. Willoughby South at 25, Alliance 26, Nordonia 27, Brush 28, Harvey 29, Madison 30, Euclid 31. We have Cuyahoga Falls 32, Lakeside 33, Warren Harding is 34, and rounding out the district is Kenmore Garfield at 35. No teams are winless in the district, and every team has at least one win. In fact, every team has at least 2 wins.
I think what's interesting too is that we saw 1 and 2 go into the same bracket too. So 1 and 2 not featured at all in this Canton bracket. It's Dover that's actually just above Fitch as the highest seed in the entire bracket. So I mean, if everything goes chalk, we might have a matchup between Dover and Fitch in the district. But you look at Fitch, they're actually towards the bottom of the bracket, and they're already booked into the sectional final. The sectional semifinal is going to be 16 seed Boardman and 21 seed Hudson. And I mean, if you don't think either one of those teams can beat Fitch and vice versa, I mean, that's just how Division I shapes up to be, and it's going to be a great game either way.
So what we're saying is we could see a Boardman versus Fitch sectional final.
We could see Boardman versus Fitch sectional final. And I think Boardman versus Fitch is scheduled to happen again. They still have to play their second game in the conference, I'm pretty sure.
That's an unfortunate draw for RYSN schemes, because that means that we can't get like an all YSN district tournament or anything.
No.
Unfortunately.
But you look at it, tops off, it's Dover that's also in the sectional final, and then Canton McKinley and Cuyahoga Falls play. There's only 3 sectional semifinal games, and then Aurora and Warren Harding play Uniontown Lake, the 6th seed, at the bottom of the bracket with Fitch.
Real quick, while we're talking about Fitch, an update from Mark Roth. He commented while we were doing that interview with Crestview softball that the Fitch versus Canfield game is going to be played at Fitch tonight.
I believe Richie Giuliano is going to be on that call for that one, and I think I'm on the one tomorrow at Scene, and Richie's on this one, so we got to split 1-on-1 because Canfield Fitch, and that's fair.
And then Robbie Matus says Boardman can definitely pull some upsets. He wouldn't be surprised if
that's
Boardman or Fitch won the district. So
yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know we keep it. No, absolutely. And looking at this one, this is going to be a great game with a great voice behind it too. Richard Giuliano going to be behind Fitch and Canfield tonight, and that's going to be a huge game for the conference tonight too in that AAC, because that AAC is still not decided. So that's the first time Fitch and Canfield got to meet up because they got rained out earlier in the season. So this is a matchup we've been waiting for in the conference.
It's funny, the Canfield guy is going to do the Fitch home game, and you're going to be doing the one where Canfield will be the designated home team. So
yeah, and Scene.
Flopping rules.
It'll be fun.
But yeah, I mean, Boardman and Fitch, whoever wins that, assuming that Boardman gets past Hudson, which is not a given. We talked about it at length that the D1, especially in all sports, you can't sleep on any teams because talent is so widespread. You know, we've seen 23 seeds beat 15 seeds in basketball and volleyball, and it could be the same way in baseball. So Boardman has to show up and take care of business against Hudson. But assuming they do that and they play shock for argument's sake and they play Fitch, the winner of that game could very well win the district. I think Boardman, they're 9-9, but you look at their record. I mean, they've beaten Canfield on the year. That's enough to show that they can beat anybody, because I think Canfield, if they were D1, would be highly ranked in this district anyway. So, you can't sleep on Boardman just because they're the 16 seed. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think Canfield's only like D2 by like 30 some kids anyway. So I mean, they have close to the size too to be a D1 school, and I think they could definitely compete with almost every single one of those D1 schools easily.
That's something I always get mixed up on, because it's one of those schools where the girls is a different division than their boys, and I'm like, all season, all Canfields must be D1, and then no, wait, okay, Their softball teams
certain,
D1.
certain cases, yeah, the D1 and certain
Baseball teams D2, and it's obviously different based on enrollment. I think their girls team, they are the smallest Division I school in the state of Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. So they are really on the edge. They could be.
I feel like
D2.
Howland
Next year
and
we get to
Louisville are
realize
also on the same boat, where Howland Louisville girls teams are D1 and then the boys teams are D2, I'm pretty sure.
Right, and that also could be with, I don't know, there might be more baseball teams and softball teams, so there might be a bigger pool in boys sports to kind of draw from. But we have two teams in Division One. That's it, Fitch and Boardman. The other local team being Warren Harding, who's down there at the 34 seed. So it'll be interesting. A lot of teams that, we'll have to do our research on. We'll try to dig deep into what they bring to the table. But the Federal League's always good. So, the Jackson, Green, Perry, Hoover, they're all going to be something to contend with, and all the other Federal League teams that are in this bracket.
Canfield softball actually D2 this year.
They are D2, yeah, I'd stand corrected.
And they're at the bottom of that bracket, too, of the softball one. So they're the ones that don't have any other YSN schools around them, but they can still get to a district final. If everything works out, Canfield's the highest seed in that bottom bracket. It's going to be Canfield and some YSN team from the top that we're going to get.
That's what makes it even more confusing, because they are D1 in basketball, or they were D1 basketball this year, and they're D2 and I believe Howland.
Yeah, because they were D1 because they played Howland, and Howland was definitely a D1.
Yep. So it's crazy. I'm trying to keep track, but we do our best.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of D1 or going down to D2 now, speaking of D2 being Canfield being in D2, we got to go down to D2 for baseball.
Yes.
And, talk about these brackets.
Let's get the seeds. We have Canfield, the 1 seed. They're 15-3 on the season, and they got the 1 seed by 10 points. So it was a close vote. Marlington got the 2. And then you have Salem is 3, Sutton is 4, Louisville is 5, Field is 6, West Branch 7, Perry 8, Hubbard 9, Edgewood 10, Niles is 11, Streetsboro is 12, Lakeview is 13, Howland is 14, Poland is 15, Geneva 16, Canton South is 17, 18 you have Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, 19 you have Struthers. At 20, you have Conneaut, West Geauga 21, Ravenna 22, Girard 23, Cheney 24, and Youngstown East is 25. They don't have a record, so I don't even know if they didn't submit a record or if they're going to play. I don't know what's going on with East, to be honest.
Looking at D2, though, and the one that Canfield took, I think they took Bobstein Park, which is Struthers. I think all the Struthers districts and these ones are represented at Bobstein Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but, yeah. Canfield took that number 1 seed in, and they're already booked into the sectional final. They're actually going to be playing the winner of 15-seeded Poland and 24-seeded Cheney. That one obviously going to be at Poland. All sectional games going to be at sites of higher seeds.
Battle of 224 for the team's going to district. That
goes chalk, absolutely, and that'll absolutely be fun. And Poland's going to be a little bit more amped up.
There's something about rivalry games, especially when they're that heated, that you kind of. You throw out the records a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously Poland has struggled, but they're going to go, if they win that game against Cheney and they get Canfield, they're going to go with everything they got in that game. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Canfield if they have to.
There's 3 sectional semifinals in the top of the bracket. The other 2 will determine who's in the other sectional finals. Sectional semifinal on the top end is Hubbard, that is the 9 seed, taking on 11-seeded Niles, and this is going to be a fantastic matchup, I think, for a sectional semifinal.
Yeah, and I think Niles is one of those teams, you look at where they're seated, they're right in the middle at 11, but they have the pitching with Fisher to kind of make a run. That's what makes baseball so interesting, because a lot of these teams that might have like the middle of the pack records, the 11-5 teams, maybe the 10-7, 9-4, 8-6 per se. You have to remember, during a regular season, you have to play 4 games in a week, maybe, especially with this weather. You have to throw 4 pitchers in 1 week, but in tournament time, it's 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And sometimes a team's 1-2 pitcher gets them a majority of their wins, and they can make a big tournament run because of that. And their other losses come from when they have to go deeper into their pitching staff to get wins. So sometimes pitching can be a really big wrench into, the grand scheme of things when you talk about some of these middle of the pack teams.
Especially when you play a tough sectional semifinal. I mean, yeah, you go with that survive and advance mentality, but do you throw your ace? Do you throw your best, or do you save them for the next round? And what the next?
How I feel.
It obviously depends on how you feel. Geneva and Perry do play. Geneva's 16 and Perry's the 8. They're going to be playing on the bottom end. So the winner of Hubbard-Niles will play the winner of Geneva-Perry in the sectional final in that top end of the bracket.
I'm interested to see how good a young Hubbard team can do in a tournament. Like, this roster has never experienced tournament time. I mean, a lot of their players graduated last year or transferred to other schools. So they're going to be a young kind of green team, kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going into the districts. And sometimes I think that's a good thing. You don't know what you don't know. So you don't feel that pressure because you don't know what it's supposed to be like.
Also, a conference matchup for the third time between Niles and Hubbard. So, I mean, your opponent. You know what you're expecting from your opponent. So it's going to be no hidden secrets going into this game.
The NE8 in this bracket is interesting. I think Lakeview has a chance to upset some people too. I mean, we talked about Hubbard and Niles. Lakeview sitting there 2 spots below them at 13. And we've seen Lakeview beat really good teams this year. Obviously, they've been up and down. They had a couple of bad weekends after some big wins. But like you said, in tournament time, you go 1-2, 1-2. You can make a run, and they have a good 1-2 punch.
You talk about those two teams, and we'll go to the bottom end of this bracket in the Struthers district, mind you. And we are going to see that Howland is taking on Youngstown East in a sectional semifinal at Howland. Howland, the 14 seed. East is 25. The winner of that will play 4-seeded Chardon in the sectional final.
Yeah, and Chardon, I think that's a school that everyone's kind of aware of. They seem to be a thorn in the side of everybody, no matter what sport you're playing. Obviously, their football program is what they're most known for. Very good baseball team. They also have a very good softball program as well. So Chardon is going to be one of those teams you're not going to be rid of in these districts. I think they're gonna make their name known. And another team that I think outside of the YSN market that you really got to keep an eye on is that Field team that is sitting at the 6th seed, 12-4 right now. They don't play a great schedule, but I know they have a lot of talent on their roster. So Field is going to be a team that you're going to have to keep an eye on.
You mentioned Field. They're rated in that bottom end of that bracket. They await. They are the 6th seed. They are already booked in the sectional final. They await the winner of 10-seeded Ashtabula Edgewood taking on 13-seeded Cortland Lakeview. So Lakeview.
I just gave them the kiss of death, and they're going to lose in their first round game.
Lakeview goes to Edgewood in the sectional semifinal matchup, and the winner will go to play Field. So this is a case too where Lakeview has a chance, I think, to really surprise some people.
Can you imagine if Lakeview goes and they win the first game, they go to Field, they torch Field.
They get to
the people go, Anthony, yeah, you knew what he was talking about. Yeah. Really good
job, man. But no, that rounds out the bracket, like we said. So yeah, Edgewood and Lakeview Lakeview going to Edgewood. Winner will play 6-seeded Mogador Field in the sectional final.
Before we move on to Division 3, I know Beaver Local and East Liverpool play each other, right?
Yeah. We also have to go to the other bracket too in Louisville, where there's West Branches in this one. Yeah, we have some teams. So in this one, this is where 2-seeded Marlington is in the sectional final. They await the winner of Canton South and Ravenna, just a couple of teams, not YSN, but then in the bottom of this one.
Ty, real quick for this is going to be a non-YSN matchup both ways, but Canton South beat West Branch this year. They're a very formidable team. So
they're 17th seeded.
Marlington could be on upset alert.
And that's exactly shows you how good D2 is too. 17 seeded Canton South is right there. And I mean, that's huge. And it's Ben Simmons. Is it the Ben Simmons from Braden Gebhardt? Will probably start against Chardon pending a win versus East, but he's electric and can definitely propel Howland to a win over Chardon. By the way, I'm going to be out 7 months with back. So it's Ben Simmons.
Sorry,
that's amazing.
It's a tough break, Ben.
Tough break.
That's a tough break.
But you talked about Marlington. Yeah, they're the 2 seed. They're awaiting 17 seed Canton South versus 22 Ravenna. West Branch is on that bottom end. They're already in the sectional final. They await the winner of 12 seeded Streetsboro and 18 seeded Notre Dame Cathedral Latin.
And I always say in every sport, I never sleep on NDCL because I know they play an independent schedule, and I know they play really good teams. They're 4-7. They've only gotten 11 games in. That's scary for me for them to be down there at an 18 seed because I know that they always have talent.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be a great matchup, I think, because Streetsboro, from what I know, being down here, always has a solid team, too. So this is going to be a great game, and it's going to be a great matchup, I think, for West Branch either way, too. As West Branch sitting in that 7 seed, they already have the bye. They're going to go to the sectional final. That'll be fun for the top end of the bracket. Bottom end of the bracket, though, and Louisville's already booked in the sectional final. They're 5-seeded. They await the winner of 19-seeded Struthers and 21-seeded Chesterland West Geauga. So it's going to be at Struthers. And I tell you what, this is a Wildcats team that I think can surprise some people. They've been in a lot of games this season.
They have, and they had a stretch there where they started to rattle off a lot of wins in a row, and then they played. I think Boardman kind of came in and kind of cooled them off real quick. But yeah, the Struthers, if they get on a run, like anybody in the tournament, they get some momentum. They have the players to beat you.
And then in that bottom end of the bracket, the last team, Salem, is the 3 seed awaiting in the sectional final. They await the winner of 23-seeded Girard going to 20-seeded Conneaut in the sectional semifinal.
Conneaut's 3-7. Girard is 2-13. So we'll see who can prevail in that one.
But I mean, if everything goes chalk, we're going to see Salem, Louisville in the bottom end of that bracket, and that might be.
Louisville just beat Salem.
Yeah, that's a great matchup.
So I feel like in every sport, Louisville is kind of like in the tournament. Louisville is ending up being Salem's bugaboo. It's kind of turning into what Canton Central Catholic was for South Range for so many years. Basketball, baseball, it didn't matter. When we had to play them, it was like, oh no. It's the bugaboo.
I know you were talking about East Liverpool and then Beaver Local, so we'll go into East 1 district. This is down in, I believe, region. I want to say it's either 6 or 7 for this one where they sit. Dresden Tri-Valley is the 2 seed at the top of the bracket. They're going to be waiting a winner of West Holmes and Maysville. Where they are seated to is towards the bottom of the bracket. They actually have the 2, the 3, and the 5 seed in this district. Beaver Local is the 15. East Liverpool is the 16. They play each other. East Liverpool at Beaver Local in the sectional semifinal. The winner will go to 5-seeded New Philadelphia in the bottom of that bracket. And then in the top end at the bottom of that bracket where they would face Cambridge is the 3 seed waiting. Indian Creek, the 12 seed, a team we know, and then Claymont, the 20 that will play.
Where is that district?
This one is called, it is the East 1 district.
If you hit site info.
Oh, yeah, let me get you. Yeah, real quick. Let me go to the sectional final. And honestly, I don't know if let me see if it's the same for. No, it's not. They don't have any of the sites up right now. It says at TBA.
There you go. Well, we'll find out when we have to find out.
Right now. So the site and contact is only for the sectional finals and semifinals, which are only at higher seeds. So nothing for the districts yet.
We'll find out when we find out, right? Let's go to Division 3 and break down the seedings here. Excuse me. And we'll go.
Chunky Division 3 too, with a lot of YSN teams represented.
South Range got the 1 seed. They are 12-2 on the season. Well, once again, caveat being that they were 12-2 when the records got turned in. Grand Valley is the 2, and then we have Columbiana the 3, Ursuline the 4, Crestview the 5, Garfield the 6. Cardinal the 6. Excuse me. Rootstown the 7, Springfield the 8, Champion the 9. We have Garfield the 10, Mooney the 11, LeBray the 12. Then we have in 13, we have United, we have Kirtland is 14, Waterloo is 15, Newton Falls 16, Berkshire at 17, Southeast at 18, Crestwood at 19, East Palestine at 20, Pymatuning Valley at 21, Jefferson at 22. Then we have Camel at 23, and rounding out the district is Liberty at 24. Everyone in the district has at least 1 win. And let's see. I think looks like 15 of the teams have at least a winning record.
And that's good to see too. Some competitive baseball we're in store for. I wanted to start in the South Range, where the District South Range took, which was actually the Niles District in Division 3. South Range being the 1 seed. You mentioned that, man. They're awaiting the winner of 20-seeded East Palestine and 21-seeded Pie Valley. And Pie Valley going to East Palestine in the sectional semifinal. The winner will go to South Range in the
That'll actually be a really good sectional semifinal game between Pie Valley and East Palestine.
I've gotten a chance to see Pie Valley, and they put up a really good game against Brookfield, but Brookfield was able to come back and come away victorious in that one. And I think this is going to be a great game either way. And I think DJ is going to get a little bit giddy too, with just his ties to South Range, and then of course East Palestine. If those two clash in baseball, I think it's going to be a little bit of a dream come true for the owner.
Yeah, he'll be smiling extra hard that day, I think.
Yeah, it'll be a great matchup too. I think East Palestine could definitely bring a little bit of shock factor to a South Range team. And all it takes is really one hot start on a mound for anybody.
Remember, this is a South Range team that always feels like they're ready for this Division 3 district because of the schedule they play. We're going to have to see how that kind of tunes out. I think South Range, just like their softball team on the baseball side, not too many Division 3 or lower teams on their schedule. I know they've played a couple, but most of their schedule is D1, D2, or teams that would be D1, D2 in the state if they're playing out of state.
The top end of this bracket, too, for the district semifinals, already in the sectional final, is Warren Champion, the 9 seed. They await the winner of 13 United, hosting 17 Berkshire. So if everything goes chalk, we could have United Champion and then East Palestine South Range, all YSN in the top end of this bracket for districts.
Champion can make a run. They have good pitching, especially at the top with O'Shaughnessy throwing for them. I think Champion's a team you have to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun one, too. And then, of course, towards the bottom end of the bracket, you got 5-seeded Crestview already in the sectional final, in the third of 4 sectional finals in this district. They await the winner of 8-seeded Springfield hosting in 24 Liberty. But if everything goes chalk, you can have a 5 versus 8 matchup in the sectional final.
That would be a really good. That might be the top sectional final we've talked about so far. If it goes chalk and Springfield gets there, that'd be very interesting. Springfield Crestview in Crestview.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, stay on the Columbiana path because the last one that's booked in a sectional final already is Columbiana, the 3 seed. They await the winner of 14 Kirtland hosting in 22-seeded Jefferson. And we've seen Jefferson pull off some big wins this season against teams like the likes of Poland. There's no doubt I think that the Falcons can definitely surprise some people too and make it all YSN in the bottom.
We love all YSN.
Absolutely. That's the only team. It's just Kirtland in the bottom end of that district in D3. You talk about the other one too, we got to go over to Struthers. But, I mean, if you want to talk about this Niles one, and I mean, we see great teams. I mean, Crestview, Columbiana, Springfield, Champion, United, and South Range all in the same one. I mean, that's a tough district.
Ben Simmons reminding us that Berkshire is underrated because they won the district title last year and they lost to Canton Central Catholic on the walk-off in the regional semi. So they were very close to getting one. They say that very close to getting one ticket away from a state berth. So
in the other D3 bracket for this end, it's Struthers. Grand Valley is the 2 seed already in the one of the 4 sectional finals. They await the winner of 11 Mooney hosting in 23 Camel Memorial. So
Mooney's 11. Like that's
dangerous.
That's dangerous.
I mean, it's very dangerous with Mooney.
That's like Top Gun, flying into the danger zone when you have to feel the Mooney team that's 11, but they're 7 and 8. But we know the wins they've had this year. Been a little inconsistent, but like I've said before, I don't want to beat the drum too much, but baseball regular season can be somewhat inconsistent if you don't have extreme depth on the mound. But you get to tournament, you can just go 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and you can see teams make a really good tournament run because of that.
Absolutely. And in the bottom end, in the other end of this top end of the bracket too, in the other tree, this is almost exclusively Portage County. 7-seeded Rootstown already in the sectional final. And I don't know if you know much about Rootstown, but they always have a solid baseball program too. And I know you and I
stick to their roots.
Yeah, you and I have talked about them too. They await the winner of 10-seeded Garfield hosting 18-seeded Ravenna Southeast. So almost exclusively Portage County here. And that's going to be a great matchup between 10 Garfield hosting 18 Southeast. And winner goes to 7 Rootstown. I mean, that's really good baseball too. And that highlights a lot of good baseball in Portage County right now.
If Garfield gets there, that would be a matchup between two teams that were old league rivals, right? Last year, Rootstown and Garfield, I'm sure, still very familiar with each other because they still play each other every year up until this season. So, old conference rivals have a chance to meet up in that sectional final.
Yeah, absolutely. As we go to the bottom end of this Struthers bracket, Middlefield Cardinals already in a sectional final as the 6th seed. They await the winner of 12-seeded LeBray and 19-seeded Crestwood. So Crestwood going to LeBray in the sectional semifinal. That'll be interesting, man. I think it'll be an interesting game for sure.
It's been tough to figure out LeBray this year.
It really has been. Every time. Like, I mean, I've been wrong about where I've been placing them every single time.
They've been one of those teams that rides the roller coaster. They've been the roller coaster, and when they're going up the hill, they look really good. And if they can make sure that they're going up a hill right now, then they can make a run in the tournament. But they just have to make sure that they're not on a downtrend, because sometimes when that team this year got on a downtrend, the wheels kind of came off, and they struggled to turn it back up.
And we already know Middlefield Cardinal, a solid baseball club too, a solid school program with athletics too. They're never going to be a pushover, so they're going to bring it too, especially being featured at the 6th seed.
I feel like Middlefield Cardinal is one of those teams that we never had to really talk about until the Super District. I think they got kind of sucked into our district with the adding of the Super District. But I just like before last season, I don't remember talking about Middlefield Cardinal nearly as much as we talk about them now in the district, scope of things.
And they're featured in almost every sport, pretty decently featured too, pretty highly seeded. So, I mean, they do a good job in all their athletics and definitely deserve a little bit of praise. Last line in this bracket in the Struthers one, Ursuline is the 4th seed, already booked in the sectional final. They await the winner of 15 Waterloo hosting 16 Newton Falls. That's a great matchup, I think, all the way through the tree. And I think no matter Newton or Waterloo plays Ursuline, I think that's a great matchup too.
I know through the next week we're going to talk about what teams we think can make runs that are underseeded or teams that can come out of the woodworks. I think Newton Falls definitely is one of those teams. They have wins over good teams. They beat Champion up this year one time. I think they have the talent. I think they have the talent in the world. So
Coach Rankin does a great job over there with the Tigers too, and this is going to be a great matchup, I think, with Waterloo. Going to be traveling to Waterloo, but the winner of this gets Ursuline, and I think this is going to be a great matchup. And you see all the matchups that could happen in district final. We could get Holy War Part 3. We could get Mooney Ursuline. It's very possible to get them in the district final.
Oh, the possibilities are endless, and that's what we love about playoff time. Ty, let's move on.
Before I do want to mention Edison too.
Yeah, I was going to say move on to find out where Edison kind of finds themselves, as they're in Division 3, but not in the Northeast District. They're over in East. So let's find out where Edison is going to play.
They are the East District. They are going to be featured as the 10 seed, and they're more towards the top of the bracket, and actually a lot of sectional finals or semifinals. There's a lot, but in the top end of the bracket, there's going to be 3. They are going to be featured against 4-seeded Fort Fry, going to Fort Fry in that sectional semifinal. And then the winner will play the winner of 6-seeded Lafayette Ridgewood and 5-seeded Buckeye Trail. This one also features Martins Ferry, the 1 seed in this. And I think this is one of the cases, and this might be one of those where they just have everyone in that district in this bracket too.
Right. Because that district isn't monstrously big.
No. So I think I think that's why there's so many sectional semifinals, and that's why it's so hard to just get through a district down there too. But Edison, top 10 team, and you never know. Pitching just takes a turn up. They can get through it, but they do have to get through Martins Ferry before they get to a district final, though. District final matchup.
Let's roll Wildcats. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Get into before then, Amp, before we wrap up these tournaments.
The only YSN team in that district, we're going to be rooting for you so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Go Cats.
And here comes Division 4, which is very interesting. And I'll get into why a little bit later. But let's just go through the seedings right away. Warren JFK gets the 1 seed, 10-2. McDonald the 2 seed, Middle Ridge the 3 seed, Matthews the 4. Jackson Milton the 5, Lake Center Catholic is the 6, Bristol is the 7, Heartland is the 8. We have Lisbon as the 9. Wyndham is the 10, Lowville 11. Fairport Harding is 12, St. John 13. We have Maplewood is 14. We have Southern is 15, Brookfield is 16, Western Reserve 17, Wellsville 18. Latonia is 19, Lordstown is 20, St. Thomas Aquinas is 21, Sebring is 22, and Badger is 23. Now, here's what makes this district interesting. Obviously, we've talked about it with softball. There are D4. It's for one reason or another, it's harder to get games in. A lot of teams in this district don't have a ton of games in. But then you look at it after Wyndham, which is the 10 seed, no one else in this district has a winning record. And in fact, no one else in this district after Wyndham, who's 8-7 at the time that records were entered into the district, no one below them has more than 5 wins. So it's a very top-heavy district, and I think that's kind of shown in the voting. The other thing that makes this district interesting, when you look at the voting, other teams receiving 1 votes, Middle Ridge got a 1 vote, and so did Matthews. McDonald did not, but, I mean, it wasn't unanimous Warren JFK, which I think is very interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think looking at it too, and looking at these districts and how it's seated up, I mean, you got a pretty big one in the Northeast 1 that's going to be at Scene Park. JFK, you said the 1 seed, they're going to be awaiting the winner of Latonia 19, playing Badger 23 in the top end of that bracket. And then the other one booked in the sectional semifinal in the top end of the bracket is Lisbon, the 9 seed. They're going to be awaiting the winner of 15 Southern, hosting in 17 Western Reserve.
Reminder from the comments that Lake Center did actually beat JFK this year 2-1 as part of a league game. They're now in the Portage Trail Conference. So keep an eye on that because, Lake Center is what the 6 seed. So 6 beat the 1, and maybe that's one of the reasons why JFK didn't get a unanimous number 1 voting.
It could be very well the case too. And looking towards the bottom of the bracket, McDonald is in this district too. They're the 2 seed. They're booked in a sectional in a sectional final already. They await the winner of number 8 Hart Christian, hosting 22 Sebring.
So JFK, the 2 seed, just took the 1 seed and said, "We're coming at you," which is very funny when you think about 2 years ago when McDonald was the 1 seed in basketball and JFK just kind of was the 2 and just said, "We're going to come right at you." And they went and beat McDonald out of the district. So now McDonald trying to return the favor.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, it very well could roll out that way, and it should be interesting too to see how that all shakes out. Lake Center Christian is the 6 seed. They're in the other sectional final. They await the winner of 16 Brookfield and 20 Lordstown. So Lordstown going to Brookfield in that section.
Obviously, they weren't going to go away from JFK because they already knew they can beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're going to want to try to take with what you know. But some of these teams, too, that are in the other end, you got to figure they're going to try to get as much more baseball experience under their belt before they have to take on a JFK.
Here's an interesting conversation, though, when you talk about Lake Center and their decision-making. They did beat JFK this year, 2-1. It was a close game, obviously. Do you want to play them again in the district when you know that they've already seen you and they're in the conference and, tip the chances that they can make adjustments on you? I don't know. That's interesting. I think it's obvious. It's easy to say, I should say, it's easy to say, we're just going to take them because we've already proven to ourselves we can beat them. But then you look at it and it's like, we want to play JFK for a 3rd time in a district, or would we rather take the chance to see them in a regional?
That's a question for each one of these teams individually. It just depends
Obviously, Lake Center decided to take the district, but it's an interesting dichotomy and what side you want to take to that argument.
Absolutely, and I think it all really depends on just how these teams really feel they're going to shake up against JFK and how they feel they are right now, how you're playing right now really factors in with baseball and softball. It's really tough because how you are playing right now can be totally different how you're going to be playing a week from now. Now you're playing right now could be very different than how you were playing a week ago. So it's tough with baseball, and I mean it's tough to kind of to feel out, and that's just what each teamer is going to try to do in their own right. Obviously, we have one more D4 bracket to get to, and it's going to be at Fairport Harbor, where we see Matthews, the 4 seed, already in a sectional final. They're going to be awaiting the winner of Fairport Harbor Harding, the 12 seed, and the 13 seeded Ashtabula St. John's School. That's in the top end of the bracket. The other one already booked in sectional finals too, so no sectional semi in this one. Wyndham, the 10 seed, is going to be going to Bristol, the 7 seed, for a chance to go to the district semi. So I mean, Wyndham and Bristol already booked in a sectional final and a chance to get to district semis.
And Wyndham, like I said, the last team that has a winning record in this whole district, they're sitting at 8-7. So Wyndham sneakily making moves in this district as the Bombers baseball team continues to put on a show.
Towards the bottom end of the bracket, you have North Jackson Milton. 5 seed are going to be in the sectional final already. They await the winner of 11 Lowville hosting in 14 Maplewood.
When I think about it, Maplewood, Lowville, it's interesting that those two teams are going to play each other because those two teams are also matched up in the softball sectional.
Are they really? That's insane that all worked out like that again.
It almost never works out that way, but tonight Lowville softball is hosting Maplewood in the sectional semifinal. You can see that on ysnlive.com. 9 will get you access to that game. But it's funny how that does usually work out that way, where both teams are matched up with the same team on both sides of the diamond.
And that's very interesting that it's going to work out that way. And we're going to have to see which one of those. I mean, hey, it's going to be a little bit added motivation. You got going in.
Absolutely.
But
look, I just look at this. Do you still have the rest of the bracket to get to? I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, you're good. Yeah, we just have the only other bottom end we have is Mineral Ridge is the 3 seed that's in the sectional final, and they're awaiting the winner of 18 Wellsville taking on 21 St. Thomas Aquinas.
Because McDonald went into Warren JFK's district, Mineral Ridge has a golden opportunity to win a district championship because they're going to be the highest seeded team in that bracket. So they have the opportunity right in front of them. The door's open. They're 9-4 when the records were sent in. And like I said, they have a couple of first place votes. We'll look at Sebring voted them first. And I believe there was one more. I can look at the voting. It was Bristol voted McDonald, I believe is the one. So a couple of first place votes. And then they also had a couple of teams that did not vote them where they landed from the lower side of things. I'm not going to throw any other teams under the bus, but, there were some teams that thought that Middle Ridge did not deserve a 3 seed. And I'm sure Middle Ridge knows that all too well. And if they have the chance to match up with those teams, they will have a little bit of extra weight on their shoulders for that game.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how that's all going to shake out.
It's like when these brackets, they're coached, the seeds are coach voted. So when everyone gets to look at how the other teams voted them, that adds a little bit of extra animosity. Like, oh, you thought I was the 8th seed. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to add a little bit of animosity, but I think, hey, don't count out those Rams too. They can make it through, and I mean, if they do, anything could happen in the sport.
Yeah, and like we said, they're the highest seeded team in that bracket because McDonald went over and decided to go after JFK. So opportunity is a knocking for Middle Ridge, and with someone like Mark Bunch, they could definitely make a run.
I'm gonna try to see if we can get something on Mohawk because according to PIAA, they don't actually have like the teams listed, at least in what I'm seeing. It's just I don't know if it's records and then just winners of seeds, but I'm not seeing any names of teams on any of these brackets for PIAA as far as Mohawk is concerned. But as soon as I get something on Mohawk, I'd like to talk about where they're seated too as well for the baseball realm.
We're going to do a deep dive into. Obviously, we have to kind of get used to the Pennsylvania tournament.
How they do
now we're in the Keystone State. We got to make sure that we're our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted.
It's a very different site too. If you haven't been over to PIAA's site too, I mean, it's a very different site than like OHSAA's layout too. So just trying to navigate it and get familiar with it. I found some brackets, but I want to see if I can find maybe some team listings too, just so we can see where Mohawk is and how they're going to shake out in that Keystone State bracket.
DJ will actually be traveling to Mohawk today for a softball senior night. That will be at 4:30, so don't miss that on ysnlive.com as we're talking about Mohawk, and they'll be on the network tonight. DJ making the trip.
Yeah.
We're going to take our next break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk about the games tonight and some of the matchups this week and what conferences are on the line and all that fun stuff as we return on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable. We are close. You call it hometown. We call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our family's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Check us out online at MyersFamilyINS.com or find us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we continue this Monday episode. Glorious sun's out. Everything about today is good. Because we have baseball, softball on the network. We have tournament softball. We have a couple of regular season softball games. We have baseball. Tournaments about to start in softball. Conferences are still on the line. Whew.
I don't think there's any complaints from us here tonight, and too. And we have a pretty decent amount of games that's going to be greenlit on the network, too, for all of you folks that are going to be trapped indoors, whether you're sick or you can't get out or what have you. We got you covered with a lot of games here tonight on the network.
Yeah. I can't. You know any good places for a chiropractor?
Ben Simmons, I'm sorry, man. You think New York, somewhere in Brooklyn, would have somewhere.
I know, right?
You think somewhere in Brooklyn there'd be someone that could help him out with it.
When you look at some of the things that are at stake this week, we talked about it before. Newton Falls on Thursday beat Champion softball 5-0, and that throws a little bit of a cog into this MVAC gray tier because Champion sits atop of the standing still with a 9-2 record in the conference. Newton Falls and Crestview are both 9-3. Newton Falls has a game with Brookfield tonight. They lost to Brookfield 1-0. If they can beat Brookfield, and then if Crestview can beat Champion, all of a sudden, there's that three-way tie for the league.
And I mean, it can happen so easily too. And we've seen plenty of cases where teams that were supposed to win games or quote unquote supposed to win, that doesn't go to plan plenty of times in both the baseball and softball realm this season. So don't think for a second that one team can't catch fire for at least a night and throw a huge wrench into everything.
So no one thought it coming in. Everyone, you kind of, whether it's fair or not, you kind of give Champion the league before it even starts because of the program they've set up. But this year, Newton Falls and Crestview saying not so fast, my friend. You have to come down to the last week of the stretch. Now, Champion's still in the driver's seat. They win both their games this week. They get it. But Newton Falls and Crestview still very much alive. Crestview has a regular season game tonight against Mooney. But then they have the game on Friday against Champion, obviously, in between their tournament games. So a lot to be decided now. The other conferences, we know the EOAC will go into tonight with Columbiana hosting United. They are up 4-0. And if they can get that win, they'll get the EOAC. We look at the NE8, and, of course, South Range is in the driver's seat. They are 2 games up. With 3 games to be played, South Range still has to play Girard twice, and they have to finish the game with Hubbard. They are trailing 3-1, but it'll be a very different look because, as we said at the top of the show, Haley Croyle is not going to be able to play in that game. So how that game kind of shifts momentum with Haley Croyle not in the circle and Hubbard still up 3-1, we'll have to see. That'll be on Wednesday, I believe they're going to play each other.
Yeah, that'll be interesting too, Ant. But I mean, like I was saying too, there's games that start tonight, and I mean, it's the thick of it now. We're into the thick of it, and we have some games on the network and some announcers that are going to be all over the place for you tonight. And did you want to get to?
Yeah, let's go over our schedule on the network for tonight. When we look at it, we have a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the network tonight. 4 softball games. 7 baseball games, Ty. And it starts with Howland hosting Boardman in baseball. We'll go through the baseball games first. Noah Ricks is going to be on the call there, 5 o'clock first pitch. And that's going to be a really good one in the AAC.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game, too. I mean, Howland coming off with a win against Fitch. Boardman's beat Canfield. Fitch has beaten Boardman. I mean, all these teams beat up on each other. This is a great matchup again, I mean, between 2 quality baseball teams.
Canfield at Austintown Fitch baseball, 5 o'clock first pitch. Richie Giuliano was going to be on the call, as you said before. And
conference implications. I mean, bigger game and that you could ask for, but you have a big voice that's going to be there behind it too, and Richie Giuliano. So I mean, no doubt a fantastic game for tonight's action.
Is it if Canfield sweeps this doubleheader? Do they get not doubleheader tonight, but the 2 games this week? Is that it for the AAC? They win it? Is that
I would think so, because I know they've already played Howland, Harding, and now Boardman twice. So yeah, Fitch is the only one left. And they only have the 1 loss to my knowledge, and Fitch only has the 1 loss to Howland.
Right. So everything coming down to that series. That'll be a good one. Richie Giuliano has the call from Fitch. We have Gerard going to South Range, and Chris Colucci and Ray Samil will be on the call there, 5 o'clock first pitch from the Raiders baseball field as they host Gerard. Hubbard traveling to Struthers on scene 1. 5 o'clock first pitch, Bob Zaney on the call there. Lisbon will travel to Columbiana. Joe Eusebio, and by the way, he's one of the new announcers for baseball season. Take time to listen to Joe Eusebio if you haven't yet. He is a delight to listen to a broadcast. He does a wonderful job.
Very detailed too, man. I mean, has the stats down and everything.
We are happy that he has become a part of the YSN family and the voice of Columbiana baseball this season. So Lisbon traveling to Columbiana. He'll be on the call there. And then we'll go back to scene 2. Niles at Poland. Alec Caberna will be on the call at 5. And then he'll double dip as he'll be on the call as well on scene 2 at 7 o'clock. Jackson Milton will be playing Newton Falls.
That's a big game too for just confidence implications going into the tournament. I mean, I know you kind of cross into the MVAC, the Mvac Scarlet versus Gray, but still, this is a great test, I think, for both of these teams before the tournament.
Other games around the area that are happening today, we have Matthews at Lowville on scene 1 at 7 o'clock. We have Rochester area at Mohawk at 4:30. Brookfield will be at Cheney at 5 o'clock on Koch 1. Cardinal Mooney will be at Springfield. East Palestine traveling to United. We have Jefferson at Lakeview. Mineral Ridge at Crestview. Pymatuning Valley at Badger. Southern will be traveling to Heartland Christian.
It'll be
Ursuline at Salem, and then Wellsville at Latonia.
Yep, that's just some other games that are happening around the area too. So if you're not doing anything on this beautiful evening, go catch those games live in person. If not, we told you about the games that are going to be greenlit on the network tonight and who's going to be covering them for you.
All right, 3 regular season softballs on the network before we get to our tournament coverage. Mohawk will be playing Union area senior night at 4:30. DJ will be on the call for that one down in Mohawk. Boardman traveling to Howland. I will be in Howland for this AAC matchup between the Spartans and Howland as they try to get momentum heading into their tournaments. And United will be traveling to Columbiana, EOAC on the line.
That'll be a great game too. Three softball games on the network, and just to reiterate too, regular season free. So those 3 softball games and all the baseball games, like we said, all free too, thanks to our wonderful sponsors.
That game is starting at 5, but remember, United and Columbiana is a continuation game. It is Columbiana with a 4-0 lead. I believe they are in the 2nd inning of that game. Playoffs happening tonight for softball. We have Maplewood at Lowville. That will be on the network. Matt Mayer will be on the call, and 999 will get you access to that one. Other tournament games happening tonight. East Canton will be traveling to Sebring. Latonia will be traveling to Mineral Ridge. Sandy Valley will be at Edison. St. Clairsville will be at East Liverpool, and Wellsville will be at Jackson Milton. Those are all playoff games. Tournament tickets have to be purchased online at the OHSAA ticket website. There will be no tickets sold at the field, no cash accepted. That's been kind of the protocol for basketball and football and wrestling and every sport we've seen this year. So same thing if you were buying tickets to any of the fall sports, any of the winter sports for tournament games, same exact thing for this one. Make sure you buy them from the OHSAA website to get into the games tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, get into the game, support these kids, support these student athletes. And if you can't, we got you covered for a decent amount of them right here on ysnlive.com/live. And if you can't get that, find our QR code too, and that'll take care of you as well.
only one tournament game tonight, but you look at the rest of the week, we have a bunch of them tomorrow. Actually, we'll have 6 tournament games on the network tomorrow. On Wednesday right now, we're scheduled to be at 3. On Thursday, we're scheduled to be at 5. And on Friday, which actually there are no tournament games on Friday, but there are a couple of regular season games to be happening. So we have good tournament softball. Week 999 gets you access to every game when it's playoffs. When it's not regular season games for free. Don't forget that. Head over to ysnlive.com/live, and it will tell you which ones are regular season and which ones are tournament games.
Yep. We get you all taken care of right there on our site too, and that'll be your main hub too for all tournament softball, tournament baseball, and regular season softball and baseball for the remaining season.
And I guess like we do every time we have to roll out the pay-per-view package, we have to remind everybody, make sure you are paying through us and not paying anything else, because we have some people that have accidentally subscribed to Flow TV and some other things. And if you're not following, if it's not $9.99, it's not us. So that's one thing. And make sure you're following the instructions and you are able to purchase your ticket through our third-party website and not anybody else. There are links that are kind of floating around as advertisements we have no control over on our website. So make sure you don't click on the flashing links that are trying to get you to click on them. Click on there's a video window like you always see, and there'll be a green box that says purchase your virtual ticket for $9.99. And once again, if it's not $9.99, it is not us. So can't alliterate that more. We want to make sure our fans are protected and make sure that our fans are getting the games that they want to get to. So
yeah, absolutely. And like we said, ysnlive.com/live get you the access to all that, and it'll tell you and break it down, the pay-per-view versus non-pay-per-view. And we also have our QR code that you could just scan and it'll take you right there as well.
Tonight, Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley will be announced. The winners of this week will be announced. And then tomorrow we'll probably see the new nominees for this week's Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. Tonight also we should have the power rankings coming out.
Stay tuned to the socials for that.
Well, so tomorrow we're going to be talking about both of those things, the winners of Baird Brothers, the new nominees for Baird Brothers. Actually, we'll probably talk about that on Wednesday. It usually comes out Tuesday evening. So the winners of Baird Brothers, the power rankings. We have Emily Denny from Poland Softball going to be joining us live on the show. Who knows who else? We always have guests, lurking in the shadows. We have a couple of guests that are probably trying to confirm a time right now. So who knows what else? But as of now, we have Emily Denny from Poland. She'll be on tomorrow live on the show, as well as talk about tournaments, talk about results, talks about power rankings, big dogs, and a lot more tomorrow on Running Point. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Power Hour from 3 to 4. Baseball and softball got you loaded up with 11 games tonight on the network. Head over to ysnlive.com/live for more information. I'm Anthony Hartwig. That's Ty Bartel. We're taking a 22-hour break. We'll see you all tomorrow from 12 to 2.